What's up, everybody? We are live. Technically we're not in New Hampshire yet. We're on the way to New Hampshire, though. We'll be there shortly. I believe we're going right now to attend Bernie rally. Fee? Town hall.
Dinner.
Oh, we're going to a Hold up. What? You ain't? I don't got clothes on for a Bernie dinner. Oh my God! All my supporters are gonna think I'm a fraud. Y'all, I promise you.
I'm waiting in the car.
Huh?
I'm waiting in the car.
You ain't in the car?
I'm gonna go to a Bernie thing with a Tulsi shirt on.
Yeah, hell yeah. You better. You might get a hug from Nina. Is Nina gonna be there? She might be.
Call her, hit her up.
I know,
Ask
right? I
her.
should.
Where you at?
What's up, people?
The choice is like we can go to the house and I can come back and pick these guys up.
No, I think it's like 30 minutes away from the house.
Oh, you mean?
Cause this is only an hour to get there, but the place is the Airbnb is like what, hour and a half from here?
But
Yeah.
if we be there for a couple of hours, rather we can get the house going and come back.
Super Progressives. Everybody go to superprogressives.com. Get you a Super Progressive shirt. Yes, you said there's no sound. Oh, hold on. You don't got no sound on? Oh, my bad.
I've been talking for no reason.
You should hear me now.
Yeah.
They heard all of our plans and everything. What's going on, everybody? Can y'all hear us now? We should be good. How was the debate? We're gonna talk about that too. Good God, it wasn't good. I mean that's a short.
Horrible.
Also, before we even get started on all that, I got a question for all you Bostonians, you New Hampshireans, and Vermonts. Do y'all go by Vermons? Anyway, Vermonters. You sure it's not Vermons? Okay.
No.
Why the hell do y'all choose to live here? You need to explain this shit to me, because this is ridiculous. There's no excuse for this. And for you people in New Hampshire, y'all got some explaining to do. How y'all got the nerve to have a beach? For what? Are y'all actually going in the water at the beach? I saw Tulsi do it.
Yeah.
But y'all literally had to donate to a charity to get Tulsi to go into the water.
Yeah.
So you gotta explain this to me, because this is ridiculous. And it looked like it's gonna snow sometimes, and the trees look dead. They look like they've given up on life. The trees don't even want to be here.
The trees don't even.
That's what happens in winter, Nico. That's the process of the season.
I guess I don't know what the hell a winter is that you're just
You
kind
don't, because you live in Miami.
Because I live in Miami and I'm never moving anywhere else ever again in my life.
Miami's gonna flood, so.
Yeah. Okay. And you live in LA, where
Yeah, Jack, your arms right underneath. Step.
You're good.
Your arms right on.
Your arms on the camera. But yeah, this is coming from Fee, who lives literally in the state that's about to burn
It is
all the way to the ground. It is already burning to the ground. What do you mean?
Okay, it's not gonna burn.
You're gonna be underwater.
I can swim.
The humidity
Yes,
in Florida is ridiculous.
I am one of the black people who can swim. One of the
You're
two
waiting
black
for that
people.
joke.
One of the two. Hey, it was a thing. No, actually, I learned that black people have denser bones. Like, the reason that it's harder for kids to learn how to swim. You know how long it took me to learn how to float? Because I thought that I was. It's in Rochester? That's like north, ain't it?
Yeah, that's north.
I don't know if I'm down to go all the way up there. Okay, so y'all here now? We're good? We should be good now. V, actually, y'all got a phone. Just check it for good.
Huh?
Yeah, check it for
Looking
good.
right now. See?
Oh, that's Facebook. Oh, you got yours in white mode. I got mine in night mode. So.
What phone do you have, Nico?
We're good? Okay, cool. So, before we get froze out again from horrible signal, let's talk about this debate real quick. That shit was trash. That was trash. I'm not really sure how comfortable I feel with the future of our country. And because even if Bernie gets elected, right, we really gotta figure out what we need to do next. Because Bernie, if he gets elected, if Tulsi gets elected, even if Bernie and Tulsi both somehow get elected, they are going into a den of wolves, coyotes, and tigers. That's what I saw last night.
Sociopaths.
Like literal sociopaths that will lie to you in front of a camera in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before. Yeah, we got lied to about the war in Iraq.
Smiling.
Yeah, and smile. Yeah, we got lied to like about the war in Iraq, right? We were lied to, but at least they put some effort into it. You know what I'm saying? Like they really went through a lot of effort to convince us that there was some WMDs. They even came up with an acronym for weapons of mass destruction to make it more convincing. Because if you got an acronym for some shit, you know that shit's important. So But this
That's
time,
when the war on terror was kind of like enacted.
yeah.
War on an adjective.
So this time, when you have
Was it a verb?
this, was it CNN? No, it was ABC then. It was ABC, right?
What's that?
The debate.
It was ABC.
ABC. So now you got moderators from ABC. They wouldn't even show their faces when they were telling a lie. They probably couldn't say the shit with a straight face. When they will sit up there and say, would you have assassinated General Soleimani? You know, because he was responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of American lives. And I was like, whoa, what did he just say? Like, I thought he was going to say allegedly. Apparently, Soleimani is responsible for the deaths of thousands of Americans. See, the thing is, if you know your history about the Middle East over the last 20 years, we've only lost a few thousand Americans. Like, compare that to the amount of Iraqis and Afghani citizens that have been lost. They've lost probably in totality millions. We've lost a few thousand.
But we got the PTSD thing that, you know, the kids come home and kill themselves. That,
Yeah, but if you want to add
I
that
mean,
shit.
actual deaths on the field, not many.
So if you really want to, you know,
yeah.
if you really want to be responsible for the deaths of more soldiers back home, then Soleimani's allegedly responsible for
exactly
overseas.
by far.
But what was crazy to me was the fact that if you understand what they were claiming essentially is that Soleimani is responsible for more deaths. It has to be, because if you're talking about thousands, he has to be responsible for more deaths than Al Qaeda, than ISIS combined. And I seriously doubt that. Okay, not to mention over the last since 2015, Soleimani was in a deal with Iraq because he was representing Iran, and the one rule that they had while they were taking on ISIS there was don't fight the United States while you're in Iraq helping us take out ISIS. And then we were supposed to follow that same rule when we got invited back to Iraq in 2015. The problem with that is we're the ones who broke the rules. We broke the rules. So this claim that Soleimani was responsible for the deaths of thousands of Americans was nonsensical. It was bullshit. Because if he actually had been, this would be a name that would be being uttered over and over and over again on repeat. He was only responsible for the deaths of thousands of Americans after we put sanctions on Iran, after Iran was about to become the #1 exporter and creator of oil in the world, after we claimed they violated the Iran nuclear deal. Then, and only then, did Soleimani become that much of a problem for the United States. But prior to that, he was known as the #1 force in defeating ISIS. So like when you have the CNN or ABC, and because I'm sure that they went, I didn't even watch the news this morning. We probably know what they were going to say. If you have all these different mechanisms of the military-industrial complex working in concert with each other to try and push the Bernies of the world, the Tulsis of the world, to advocate for calling people war criminals when they've either not been proven so in court. Like, we actually have war criminals. Like, Bush and Cheney were found guilty of committing war crimes. They've not faced the governments that they are being told to face. They haven't even left the country. They're not allowed to. They'll get extradited immediately. Right? So, what we are seeing is an attempt to manufacture consent. And this is also, in my opinion, and this is something that our team has talked about often, this is why one of the reasons why we were so against the impeachment on the grounds that were being put forth about Trump, right? Because if you do this, it wasn't even successful. But what Trump did was not wrong. He talked to a Ukrainian president as a president of another country to get down to the bottom of an investigation that was going on in two countries. And the guy that just happened to be being investigated just happened to run for president after those investigations had started.
Yeah.
And for all we know, how do we know that Biden didn't just decide to run because the Ukraine gate started? We don't know. So when you have that type of situation happen where because Trump was going to expose something, even if by on accident, that was going to bring down or knock down the dominoes of the neoliberal establishment one by one, because Clinton's connected to this, obviously Biden's connected to it, Nancy Pelosi's connected to it, Pasta and Fiorella did
Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff's connected to it. They did fantastic work on Ukraine Gate. I learned most of my stuff about Ukraine Gate from Pasta and Fiorella streams. And when you have the neoliberal establishment and really the neoconservative establishment, if there is a dichotomy there, when you have them doing that, where they show that we will impeach you, even if you're doing the right thing. How do we know they're not going to do that to Trump? I mean, to Bernie? What? How do we know? You know, Bernie threatened to withhold aid from Israel. Based on the standards that have been set by the neoliberal establishment thus far, do you think that's an impeachable offense? When both parties are in the...
I think Obama held aid 3 times or something like that. Like 3 times. I think from Haiti he held it once, from Honduras the first time. And I think Ukraine was one of the other countries.
Ukraine was.
Yeah, and then eventually they kicked it over to Israel, which they did it, you know.
But then Ukraine started playing ball, and so
That was it,
yeah, you should see the video of Biden bragging. Like, Biden was actually guilty of withholding aid. He bragged about it, and it's so weird because he wasn't even trying to pretend like there was like an investigation that he was trying to pursue, like that there was any justice he was trying to get. He literally said, I told him to fire the prosecutor who was investigating the energy company that my son is the chairman of.
Well, you ain't getting the aid.
Or you ain't getting the aid.
You ain't getting $1 million. Or $1 billion, whatever. Was it $1 billion?
It was $1 billion. Billion in aid, weapons aid. And all
Ask Johnny. Johnny, what was in that? What was in that package?
All types of weapons, from tanks, missiles, all military-industrial complex.
For neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
For
For neo-Nazis. Toys for neo-Nazis.
Yup.
You know, the whole thing too is, Niko, is that inside that transcript, Trump talked about CrowdStrike. I think he wanted more than anything to get a hold of the servers because the guy, the CEO of CrowdStrike, was in the Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian oligarch. So I think it was more about clearing his name than holding anything against a political rival. More, he wanted
It
rub it
definitely
more in
was
their
selfish.
face.
It was definitely selfish.
It was
desire.
selfish. Yeah, it was totally
Like,
selfish.
But I also believe that people always forget there's a whole nother entity that's involved in this, and there is a legitimate progressive Ukrainian president trying to clean out his administration as we speak, and our government is also standing in the way of that, and that is also by design. You never ever have before neo-Nazis ever became a discussion, you never heard about the Ukraine because we were committing regime change war. The same reason you don't hear about Somalia, same reason you don't know, that we put Chad on the Muslim ban list the moment they decided to work with Germany to get the United States out of Africa. Like, when we are about to commit regime change war, you won't hear about it until we can make somebody the enemy. And because you can now. They're gonna paint this progressive as an enemy because he's working with Trump. But if you've done any research, you would know he's put people in his administration, bro, where the party that they belong to is like some prosperity for everybody, like the most super progressive days ever. Yeah. And Zelensky was like one of those guys. He was. It would be like if like Seth MacFarlane ran for president.
There you go.
And won.
Yeah. A comedian, an artist.
An artist who actually understands what's going on, but kind of has kept everything to himself because you know how Hollywood is. But it'd be like if Seth MacFarlane actually won, and he's like, well, shit, I guess we got to get down to business. And when you have a progressive president, because this is what Bernie, if he wins, Tulsi, we already know she's already said she's gonna do this. But this is why it's so important to know that you're gonna meet with whoever you have to in order to get things done. And this progressive president took a chance, said, look, it's either my pride, or my country. And he chose his country, and the United States is trying to make him pay for it, basically. They're trying to do that guilt by association. Notice they don't ever mention the fact that the president himself said, no, he never threatened me. The president of the Ukraine. They're so interested in calling witnesses. Why has nobody called the president of the Ukraine as a witness? Anybody want to answer that question for me? Was that even a witness being argued over? Like, oh man, you have to let us bring him in.
I just wanted Joe Biden to take the stand.
Everybody.
Hunter Biden.
Everybody.
And then Adam Schiff. And all those people to take the stand. It's like the Senate controlled it. Why didn't anybody take the stand? Why didn't they call any witnesses in the House? They just kicked it over to the Senate and didn't try to put it on them. Well, why don't you guys call witnesses? Why didn't you guys call witnesses?
Yeah, I was kind of confused by the end of the whole witness debate. Because at first, the Republicans wanted to call Biden, and then the Democrats were like, no. And
they cut a
then,
deal, right?
yeah, but then the Democrats like, oh, you don't let us call any witnesses. I'm like, hold on, I thought we didn't want witnesses. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, McConnell was like, he's just like Pelosi, right? McConnell acts like he doesn't like Pelosi, but he likes Pelosi. Pelosi act like she don't like Trump. I think she likes Trump more than McConnell likes Pelosi. Honestly, like, it's what did you say? Was it you the other day where you were saying that
Nancy Pelosi and Trump have way more in common than me and you do to Nancy Pelosi?
Probably.
Something like that.
Yeah,
when
but
people go, oh, you know, the Democratic Party. It's like, no, Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi got a lot more in common than you do with Nancy Pelosi.
She ripped up this man's speech.
Oh, yes.
Right after she just passed a bunch of his bullshit.
Why don't you rip up the defense budget? That was Jimmy.
I know. Yeah, Jimmy did. Why don't you rip up the fucking
defense budget?
Didn't even try. You know what would be interesting if Nancy Pelosi, because the NDAA would have passed regardless of what she said about it, right? If she would have even gave pushback, I would have been impressed. Even pushback. But you're gonna damn rip a speech up that you. So what you telling me is you knew everything was a lie, but you ripped it up after the speech was over for dramatic effect?
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Huh?
No, it's like right at the end. Remember, instead she started ripping it up at the end.
Halfway
through last time she did the clap, she did this, and there were people with actual pins. Like,
oh, bro, and what was so bad about it? So you're gonna rip the speech up because everything in it was a lie, including the bullshit about Guaido. So what did she do after? She holds a press conference with Juan Guaido, sitting right beside him like a good girl. It's my honor to have.
Did you see the way the Democrats all stood up for that shit?
Oh yeah, they were cheering.
That was scary, man. For Juan Guaido.
For Juanito, little Juanito. I'm telling you, man, everybody thinks that you put a bunch of blankets together, build a fort in your bedroom, put on a nice suit and tie, that you're actually a president of a country. Little Juanito. Such an imagination. But that was probably the most terrifying part to me about that debate. Also, the ability, I don't even want to call it salient thoughts, but the ability for Pete Buttigieg to bullshit on the fly is becoming actually a little bit more problematic than I originally thought it would be. I always knew he would be a problem, but I'm like, I try to think about it from a perspective of somebody who doesn't pay attention to politics. And I'm like, okay, if I didn't pay attention to politics, who would this remind me of? And it reminds me of Obama. So the reason I felt like Obama was dangerous was because, like, if you were listening to him, he was attacking Hillary specifically on policy a lot. And so for me, yeah, that's cool. But for my mother, for example, or my grandma, well, actually my grandma don't, she real, she don't listen to that platitude, she hates that shit. But for like casual observers, and you know what's funny? Amy Klobuchar got his ass last night. Did y'all hear that?
Which one?
When she said, she was like, it's easy to just point at Washington and say everybody in DC is a problem, and that everybody on this stage is a problem, and that this is the problem, that's a problem, but you haven't done anything. And she's like, so you're just doing it because it's cool, because you haven't been there yet. But some of us have actually gotten things done, and it's true. Like, if as much shit as I give Amy Klobuchar, she's the second most productive senator on that stage. As much shit as I give her, that I cannot take.
She has a lot more bills.
Yeah, her and Bernie. Like, Bernie's obviously known as the Amendment King. Klobuchar works with Bernie a lot on legislation. I've always said, so I don't know if y'all know this, but actually, Tulsi and Klobuchar are like, they're not close, but they're amicable, right? I think that's probably the best way to describe it. But I've never considered Klobuchar nefarious. I've just considered her an unnecessary skeptic. Does that make sense? Like, she's willing to sacrifice the greater good just to get something done, even if the greater good is more popular.
Yeah, I mean, she's just horrible on foreign policy too.
Yeah, of course she's horrible on foreign policy. But, well, she's all over the place. I don't know if you can call her horrible.
Yeah, she's all over the place. She's just confusing.
She's just...
Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the Bull Gravano was the second man in the Gambino family behind John Gotti.
Someone say you look like him.
Sammy the Bull? Sammy the Bull was...
Is it because of how he's leaning?
He's one of the... I think he was played by William Forsythe in the John Gotti movie. He was John Gotti's second-hand man. He ratted on John Gotti.
Yeah,
whoever told me I'm looking like Sammy
He's
the Bull
actually
Gravano.
Italian, so that might be racist, guys. Everybody tells me I look like is it Ram? Nah, Johnny Bones.
Johnny Bones Jones.
I don't know why people say that. I think it's just the beard. I promise you, it's the beard, and I'm black.
He's a real smart guy.
I know.
I mean, well, he's done some dumb things.
He's also a head crusher, so I don't have a problem with that.
He's my favorite fighter.
Oh, really?
And he lost one fight by disqualification.
Well,
That was because he elbowing the guy on the top of the head. He just slipped. But the guy, you know what's awesome about him? You love him. because he beats anybody he fights with their technique. So if that guy's a
man,
boxer, he's like, I'm gonna box you. If you're a
Oh,
wrestler,
that's
he
some
does
gangster
that
shit.
shit
That's some
to
gangster
rub
shit.
it. Yeah, that's some Niko shit, right?
Yeah, that's actually what I would
That's
do.
some Niko
That's
shit.
what I would do.
What's your talent? I'm in Florida. I
Niko,
get your
tell
ass.
Tulsi them running that Trump mockery ad is way weaker than the better ad showing social program. Actually, I agree with that. I thought they were going to run the second ad.
What's that?
The ad where, so you remember she gave a choice of two ads? They ran one that was more going at Trump. You know what? I think I might understand the strategy there. So because of her concentrating on New Hampshire, one thing you have to know about New Hampshire, yeah, it's Bernie country, but it's also Trump country. And she knows that she
Very
can
much
get
so.
the Democrats, you know, at large to come out and vote for her in droves the way Bernie can, but she can get Trump supporters to come out and vote for her, and
they don't have
not
to switch,
vote.
right?
They don't have to switch, but
yeah.
they cannot vote for Trump. They can't vote for Trump or
They gotta
any
pick
other
which
Republican
primary,
in their primary. So she's trying to go after the Trump voters that no one else. That, in fact, I don't even say they're not going after them. They're shunning them, if we're being real. So it's actually kind of smart. See, we got a super chat.
Thank you for the super chat contribution. As is
Yeah.
always appreciated
Drive
in the car.
carefully. I'm not driving. I know, Kim, I'm live and I'm not the one driving.
Fam, it's always appreciated in the car. Fee, they're asking for you. Come on up here.
Fee, what the hell, bro?
Fee, they're asking
Being
for you.
rude.
Get
She
over
being
here, Fee.
rude.
Answering
Guys,
people.
Fee.
So I put up this discussion because some of our friends were pushing Elizabeth Warren as a VP still.
Yeah, there are people still pushing E. Warren as a VP, y'all.
Well, and so I made a post on Facebook and Twitter, and some of you have probably seen it, where the three worst choices. Number one was Elizabeth Warren. Number two was Tammy Baldwin, because she came up via a Jacobin article. And Jacobin has been putting out really like idiotic
Neoliberal
shit
hit
lately.
pieces, yeah.
And then the third no was Stacey Abrams, because a lot of
Hell
people
no.
have been pushing her as well.
Everybody who will help him lose.
Bro, okay, I don't know how else to say this, y'all.
Everybody who will help him lose. Nobody
But I guess
acts as
I'm
if-
black, so I can say this.
Yeah.
Just because Stacey Abrams is black does not mean she will make a great VP. I don't know how else. Just because Elizabeth Warren is a white woman who says some really nice things doesn't make her a great VP, nor does it make her a progressive. Okay? And if you only like Nina because she's a black compliment to Bernie, that is the absolute wrong reason to support Nina as a VP. There are legitimate reasons for Nina to be VP. Most of you all don't have any idea what the fuck that is. Y'all just like, oh man, she's black and she loves Bernie, and therefore she would be a great VP because she's a great surrogate. Nina's an amazing surrogate. If she was to be VP, she would figure it out really fast. But like, if you actually understood what we need a VP for, then you will understand that actually, if you want to be strategic about it, you would make Nina immediately the chairwoman of the DNC. That's what you should do. Because Nina has a discernment of person. I'm going to tell y'all some real shit. If y'all notice that Nina and AOC don't associate a lot on Twitter. They don't talk a lot because AOC don't come to Nina's defense, so I'm sure Nina's probably noticed that a bit. They don't talk a lot. But AOC probably hasn't come to Nina's defense because Nina could see through her bullshit. I like AOC sometimes. I don't like her most of the time lately. And so because of that, AOC probably don't vibe with her that much. But that's because Nina probably also sees through her bullshit. Nina has a great way of seeing through bullshit. That's why at first she had endorsed Hillary in 2016 or 2015. And then when she saw Bernie, and then she saw the way that Hillary's people were treating Bernie, and the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, was treating Bernie, but she like, hold up, but Bernie the only one talking about black issues, and then introducing black policies, and then putting black people up front in his campaign when he could. So I'm just gonna go to Bernie instead then. And then all of a sudden, you saw how that worked. They literally stopped her from speaking at the Democratic National Convention. So fast forward, we're at a position where we need Nina to be in a position where she's not Bernie's surrogate. We need her literally being a unilateral decider for how the second most powerful party in the country will be run going forward under a Bernie Sanders, a potential future Tulsi Gabbard administration and administrations after that. We need her to make everything more democratic in the DNC so that after our reign of 12 to 16 years is over, that it could still be maintained in its current form. And it's, like I said, a more democratic process. At the moment, it will be smarter for her to be there than it would for her to be VP. Because I'm guessing at this juncture, Nina would even admit the VP has had way too much influence over foreign policy, and that's not her strongest area because she was just a senator of Ohio.
So
Go ahead.
looking at these comments, the majority of the people on my Facebook, and Facebook is a little bit less leftist than Twitter,
Really?
are yeah, a lot, are pushing Bernie Tulsi or Bernie Nina. Barbara Lee is another option.
Barbara Lee is a legitimate option.
I would be
Yeah.
okay. I would say
That's the compromise.
Tulsi, Nina, Barbara Lee, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Those
the
I think would be
compromise.
good choices.
Do you really think, though? I mean, I love Tulsi. I mean, I love Nina, but do you think she's going to help Bernie win? It's
Yes
really
and so
tough,
there's
man.
yes, so there's a yes and no.
Yes.
There's a
exactly.
yes because of like she's just a firebrand, right?
Yeah.
Like her, I could tell it's almost like she's even been accidentally honing her debate skills through these mainstream interactions,
Yeah.
and she's getting really, really witty, and she's catching people off guard. She's catching people in their contradictions. She understands Bernie's policies as well as Tulsi does. She can articulate them to a different audience, and where Bernie she can stand alone and have a rally with the same energy that Bernie can on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
People would show up just as much for a Tulsi or for a Nina.
But aren't they the same people? I mean, what's different?
But so when you're talking about trying to just purely win an election,
yeah.
that's a big dip. If I can have two me's at the same time at two different parts of the country, that's a big. But
it seems like it's all the same. Yeah.
No. But that's the weakness, right?
Yeah.
It is the same person.
Not that I'm trying to put Tulsi up, but that libertarian.
No. I understand
that,
I understand what you're saying. But but the ability to galvanize, like people would show up, like I said, for I know for a fact because we saw it, right? Nina's in South Carolina, and she was having entire rallies by herself.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd show up for Nina.
And so I know, and so when you're talking about a North Carolina, that's a purple state. A Texas, there's a purple state that would be decided by the black vote. Michigan, a purple state that would be decided by the black vote. Pennsylvania, a purple state that would be decided by the black vote.
Yeah.
I can send Nina to all these places.
Yeah.
And she will win them for me, and I know it.
And she'll get more of them than more people.
And I can just, and Bernie at that point just go, because Tulsi isn't a rallier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if Tulsi was the VP, then it would have to be her and Nina to have those rallies.
Right.
Which
would also be amazing.
Which would also be
that'd be
amazing.
great.
It would be, that would be amazing.
Are we even getting closer to that though? Because I'm waiting for us to get closer and closer to that.
To what?
To Nina, to Tulsi becoming more, getting back close to
That's
Bernie
after the
again.
convention.
It's good. I mean, we once again, we have to remember, we don't know how much they've been talking behind the scenes.
That's true.
Right? And Tulsi did what she, listen, I don't know, I can't tell you for a fact, but I just know when Tulsi made her decision to not campaign in Iowa anymore, now that we have the benefit of hindsight, but that was the smartest fucking decision that any politician might have ever made, because the amount of rigging that we saw take place gave Tulsi a 0% chance to win that, because she didn't have the infrastructure that Bernie had.
She didn't waste the resources.
And Yang's people got fucked. Like all over Iowa, I was getting DMs about it. You see it on Twitter. People were getting kicked out. They were getting disqualified for being precinct captains. People were being disallowed to vote. And he didn't have the infrastructure to challenge it, because he didn't make $25 million in January. So
What's that say? Look at that.
hello somebody.
That's
Just
Bethlehem.
because someone looks like me doesn't mean they're for the cause. Hi fam. Hey.
Hey fams.
Yup, but that's true though. So, but there are some people who will say Nina viscerally because she's just always rode out for Bernie. Like, Nina would be a great VP, but if the only reason you're picking her as VP is just because she always rode out for Bernie, listen, like, and I'm sure once again Nina would agree with this, we don't need anybody. Look, we're not here to be your fucking decorations. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Nina, it would be a great VP in her own right, because of great things that Nina Turner has said. And ironically enough, conversely, some of you all would never say Tulsi is VP just because she ran against Bernie. Has nothing to do with her policies, even though you know she's better than everybody in the race or even involved in this race. I don't give a damn if they're a surrogate. I don't give a damn who. When it comes to foreign policy, there is no one better. When it comes to election integrity, there is no one better. And even as we just saw Iowa, even with the tie, I've said before, fuck a tie. We needed to obliterate everybody in Iowa. That did not happen because of what? Election integrity. So even though we just had a whole situation involving election integrity issues that Tulsi tried to solve since when? 2017?
Which Tulsi made comments on the
Yeah.
on a lot of the
She
coin
did,
tosses,
yeah.
and she
Yeah.
was, you know, like,
20
how is not people
Yeah.
challenging this? How are they not doing it?
2017 Tulsi Gabbard was ahead of the game. She said, we don't know, we almost have no chance to win in 2020 as a primary anyway, because nobody wants to address election integrity. And everybody is lighting Twitter up, oh my God, fraud. Now, I'm glad we're finally to the point that we can admit what we're seeing, but you won't even celebrate the person that is actually trying to fight it because you're worried she's competition for your God.
No, because she's a Russian asset.
Yeah, right.
Ah.
The progressives luckily haven't
You
been
know,
saying that shit.
inside her election integrity bill,
Bloomberg is not looking to rig the election. Bloomberg is looking to buy the election.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Bye, Ray.
That's
I mean,
how you rig
buying
it.
is kind of normal.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work out there. Also, wave that fee hiding in the back from Who Burns.
Ah, V,
Oh, shit.
hide in the back. She's the
he
only
will
one to
take on
address
Tuesday.
open and closed source too in the, you know.
Yes, Tulsi's the only one.
Keep it, but she's the only one to address open and closed source.
Tulsi's the only one to address open and closed source software for voting machines.
Isn't she also looking to like decentralization?
Yeah, that's same thing. That's open source. Yeah, blockchain.
Blockchain.
Yeah,
That's what
and that's what even made me think like blockchain. And I was like, oh shit, that's actually genius.
Join Rockfin today, everybody.
Hey, yeah, for
We
real.
got one, he got one, she got one, we all
Go
got
join
one.
us on rockfin.com, ROKFIN/Niko, and ROKFIN.com/the combo couch. Hey fam, safe travels. Is it conceivable PB has strength beyond New Hampshire? No.
No.
Buttigieg.
No.
No.
You watch how bad he's
Hey,
gonna do here.
you think that Hillary Clinton had a southern firewall? Wait till Pete Buttigieg has to go toe-to-toe with Bernie in the southern firewall. I think that Tulsi's going to beat him in South Carolina. I think
That's
that
gonna be
Steyer might
interesting.
beat him in South Carolina, actually.
Steyer's done some good
Steyer
things.
was smart about
Had a good debate.
So Steyer did in South Carolina what Tulsi did in New Hampshire, because he didn't gain traction quick enough in New Hampshire because he came in kind of late to the race, and
So he went to South
so
Carolina.
he did the South Carolina strategy.
Yeah, he's there right
Because
now, right?
if you can win South Carolina, you actually have a better chance of staying in the race in the long run. Yang, what did he do? He put way too much money in Iowa.
He spent time in Iowa.
He spent way too much time in Iowa. But that's smart. It's bro. Yang is, listen, y'all. You think Yang out of this race? I keep telling y'all, people want to keep ignoring the Asian demographic, which is crazy to me. I think it's actually become the norm in Democrats because they've been taking their vote for granted. But y'all think, listen, I'm a black man who turned 18 in the age of Obama. If you think that Asians are about to overlook their first legitimate chance to be a nominee, you got another thing coming.
For real.
So when you're, and it ain't just one Asian running, it's Pacific Islander with a dominantly Southeast Asian religion, and then it's Thai, right? It's Taiwanese?
What's that?
Asian. Andrew Yang, is he Taiwanese? He's adopted, but I think he's Taiwanese, right?
I'm not sure.
Either way, he's East Asian. And to have somebody that looks like you on stage, who understands your struggle, you know, your unique experience, that can never be taken for granted, especially because everything Yang says ain't bad. Some people like to pretend it is, but it isn't. His foreign policy shit though. Join YDSA at my school, Young Democrat Socialists of America, and they're not Tulsi fans, of course. Well, you know DSA, Young Dems and Young DSA basically become the same thing. So
It's New Hampshire. What do you think about eat? What should we eat, everybody? New Hampshire. Give us some suggestions. No, Ungi wants some lobsters, that's for sure. He wants
I'll
some
die.
lobster.
I'll definitely die. Yeah, murder selfish.
I ain't diving. I'll dive into the plate.
No, I'm
into
not diving. Boy, y'all pasta again. Oh, he can't hear shit we've been saying. I said I'll die.
I know. I thought you said I'll dive. I ain't going down. Plate dive. Who's that?
What boy you talking to now, boy? Fee got all these dudes in her DMs, bro. You can't never keep up with her. You hear our voice get a little bit more high pitched. She sounds nicer.
Yeah. Hey, what are you
Hey!
doing? What's going on? Maybe run into each other tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm here till actually Wednesday.
I don't be telling people our business, Fee. Who that? Is that a female? I have no idea
Yeah,
what's
pretty
name.
much gonna be
What's his
like
name?
What's his name?
a lot of Bernie events. I'm probably gonna head the Bernie events because I'm here with
Ah,
House team and Niko House, and I'm gonna be heading.
That's everybody's listening to Fira's conversation.
And gonna try to cover some Tulsi events as well.
We're in right now. We're in. I think. Are we in New Hampshire now?
Yeah.
We're actually in. So we're
close to
in New
Manchester.
Hampshire now. We're in New Hampshire, close to Manchester.
So, it's not as fun as it
Did you hear that they reopened the Malcolm X assassination case?
What?
There was breaking news today. Someone said it in the chat.
Oh shit! They reopened the Malcolm X assassination case. Oh, low baby. Yeah. Also, I had to do some more research into this, y'all. But everybody, y'all on YouTube specifically should listen to this. Pete Buttigieg, one of his top 5 donors, a girl who was trafficked by he and Epstein, donated to Pete Buttigieg, or came out and said that his top 5 donors trafficked her.
So,
Really?
Yes.
Basically, it's a
Yeah.
primary in New
What's that?
Hampshire, right? So, a
Yeah,
Republican
that's
Yeah,
serious,
I gotta
yeah.
do more research into it, but.
So nobody pays the price.
What somebody say? Somebody says, I love Tulsi Gabbard, but at this point, I don't see what she's trying to accomplish. I'm gonna be real with you.
Be real.
That is a dumbass statement. That's a dumb statement. I don't know. I don't know how else to say. She's trying to run for president. I think that's what she's trying to accomplish. I don't know what else to tell you. And I gotta help because some people I feel like have just started paying attention, and your whole universe of politics revolves around Bernie,
I know.
and you don't actually understand like
Just strategy.
historic politics or strategy.
Yeah.
First of all, Tulsi's message is the strongest foreign policy message. It is just as important, if not more important, than Bernie's message, which is the strongest on domestic policy. You need both of them having those messages, right? Because Tulsi has moved Bernie left on issues, just like Bernie has moved Tulsi left on certain domestic issues. Now, actually, I would say that it might be that Tulsi might be actually more left than Bernie on things, because she supports UBI and she also supports legalization of all marijuana, and she wants to completely ban private prisons, by the way. And Bernie still wants to, he just wants to change the 94 crime bill. But to ban private prisons, you would have to completely rid the 94 crime bill. But he keeps using the Women's Violence Against Women Act as justification as to why to keep it. Just pass another fucking Violence Against Women's Act. I don't know what the hell is so hard about that. But
Yeah. I don't like the saber rattling with Russia and Putin.
Yeah, I don't like that
That's
either.
the thing I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
But-
I don't see Tulsi as to ever demonize like Putin because you
no,
know,
she
talks about
cannot
sitting down
like
with
them.
and stuff
Yeah,
like
she
that.
cannot like somebody, but she knows like what? So I can finger wag at them on TV and expect them to actually have legitimate diplomatic
Yeah.
agreement between us.
Exactly.
That's stupid.
I don't really know.
But
because I think we have to prep for
also,
tomorrow, but I'm gonna be
if you're assuming, if like kneecapping Bernie, running against Bernie, because what she said, she said she's not running against Bernie, she's running for president,
then I have to,
She announced
then I have
before
to
Bernie.
get to my hotel, which is north
right?
of Manchester.
And that's her right to do so as an American citizen. And she's absolutely okay.
It's a
She's
Airbnb.
literally put her life on the
But it's
line
like more
for this
expensive.
country.
I
Then
don't know,
what
but
she
it's
saw
south, right?
led
It's
her
very
to
south.
expose the military-industrial complex. As an officer who is currently in the military, she is exposing the military-industrial complex. Then she sacrifices her position with the DNC and puts herself in literal danger to the point where even news anchors were saying, are you not scared of the Clintons? Are you not worried about the Clintons? So if anybody has earned the right to fucking run when she wants to run, it is fucking Tulsi Gabbard. So that's the first thing. But even more so than that, if you are like, oh man, I understand why she's running. Bruh, she got 6% in New Hampshire in establishment pollings with 4.4% margins of error. So she could be at 6% and she could be at 12%, which means in the last few polls that have come out, she's in a statistical tie with every well, except for recently. The Pete Buttigieg and Sanders polls have been skyrocketing. But before Iowa, Tulsi was in a statistical tie with every candidate except for Bernie in New Hampshire.
It's crazy.
Because of how great the margin of errors were. So even when she was getting 6%, the next closest person was at 12%, but with a 4.7 or 5% margin of error, it doesn't matter. That's how close they are. So that's why she's running for office, because if you've ever looked at her rallies, did you see the video I retweeted yesterday?
Which one?
In New Hampshire, she asked the people in the crowd, are you conservative, Democrat, progressive, etc. She's first thing she says, are you independent? A third of the crowd raises their hand. Then she asks, are you a conservative or a Republican? Bro, almost the rest of the crowd raised their hands. So she's going into these conservative bastions in New Hampshire who are tired of Donald Trump that none of the Democrats are going after. So my question to y'all is, do you not need to win New Hampshire to win the presidency in this country? Possibly, you know your history.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, Iowa picks corn, New Hampshire picks presidents.
And that just ain't for the primary either.
Yeah.
That is not just for the primary. You people forget that New Hampshire went to Trump, and at this very juncture, it still looks like it may go to Trump. At this juncture, that could change. But it can only change if Tulsi Gabbard is somehow on this ticket. Anybody else is in danger to losing to Donald Trump. As great as Bernie will perform in New Hampshire, he's performing great in New Hampshire amongst Democrats who are already going to vote for the Democratic nominee, or maybe not, no matter what. They would go ahead.
What percentage, Niko, of Tulsi Gabbard supporter really would have supported Donald Trump anyways? I mean, not Donald Trump, excuse me, Bernie Sanders. Like,
what?
Everybody's pissed off. They say that Tulsi's taking votes away from
Yeah,
Bernie
that's
Sanders.
super
What
weird.
percentage of
the
of
arguments
Tulsi
are really
voted?
weird. They're like, oh, she's only at 1%. Why are you supporting her? She's taking votes for Bernie. Hold on, what the fuck? That's 3 different points that don't make any
She's
sense
only at
together.
1%. Why
She's only at 1%. She's taking votes from Bernie. Why is she running? I thought if she's at 1%, then how could she possibly be taking votes from Bernie? So, at the end of the day, like, just the main reason that she can run is because she can fucking run, and it's America, and we should never be discouraging people unless it's Pete Buttigieg because he's a CIA asset from running.
We went the wrong way.
So that
easier.
shit has to stop, because now all of your demonization of Tulsi Gabbard had for a whole year people thinking that Elizabeth Warren was the second most progressive person in the race. Are you fucking kidding me? And once again, I will never stop stressing how quick y'all were to demonize a woman of color and how quick you were to exonerate the white woman who lied about being Native American.
Yeah, nobody has paid enough attention.
Nobody gives a fuck, and it's crazy because I'm looking at people who are throwing the fucking standing rock hashtag around, the no dapple hashtag around. Oh, y'all cared about fucking Native Americans when it was popular to care about them, but you have someone who literally stole their identity, got a job at Harvard, and refuses to apologize even as a Cherokee woman is standing in front of her begging her to. And y'all think that when she gets in office, she's going to be somehow more progressive? No, everybody moves to the right when you become president. Everybody. Except for JFK.
Get to your right, get to your right. Exit to your right and then just... Yeah.
Hungy's trying to take us to the place you can't come back from. No, we're not at Uber. We're not at Uber. They probably kick us out the car by now. But you gotta remember, first and foremost, and I said this before I had endorsed Tulsi, even really before she had announced, before her or Bernie announced, I said, bro, democracy comes first. If you skip steps in democracy, do you know what happens? You get Donald Trump. I know it's crazy. I know people are like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. When you skip steps in democracy, what happened last time? Bernie Sanders was the winner. He was a winner in Iowa. He was a winner in New Hampshire by a large margin. And they even had the New Hampshire superdelegates go to Hillary anyway. When you skip steps in democracy and people have their voices silenced, you set up for, and then you have cognitive dissonance about what you just did. People never account for the people who were actually, like with Bernie Sanders, do y'all know in 2018 or 2016, excuse me, there was a record number of registrations in the Democratic Party, but simultaneously, there was a record number of registrations in the Republican Party too. Do you know that Republicans had a record high turnout for their primaries, but somehow, coincidentally, even though there's a record number of people who voted or who registered the Democrats, they had a record low turnout. How the fuck is that possible mathematically? So all those
Somebody
people
must have cheated.
So all those people who had their voter registrations dropped, the people who got cheated, the people who witnessed in front of us the DNC openly rig and then tell people in a court of law that they can do it and we can't do shit about it. You thought that they were going to vote for anybody but Bernie Sanders at that time, unless it was Jill Stein who called out the rigging. And then, to his, even though it was fucking for selfish reasons, Trump called out the rigging too. People were looking for anybody and everybody to at least admit that this country does not have a legitimate democracy. And that shit turned 2016 into a shit show that is the Donald Trump presidency. So keep trying to shit on democracy to get your way. Because that's what you're going to end up with is another 4 years of Trump and then another 12 years of a neoliberal. And at this rate, it might be 4 years of Trump and then 12 years of whoever the fuck comes after Trump. We might not make it that far, I'm telling you. We have to fight. We got to fight for principles first. Then you fight for your candidate. If you feel principled about voting for Bernie because of issues that you might just, because some people are only educated on certain issues, because like you just literally can't be educated on everything. Like I'm not educated on public banking as much as I should be. And so that's not as much of a pivotal issue for me, although I know it's super important, right? And some people, they are basing their vote for Bernie off of their principle, and that I agree with. That you should. But if you know more, if like for me, I know more about foreign policy. I know a lot about domestic policy. I know all the great things Bernie does on domestic policy, but I can't ignore the foreign policy because I know so much more about it, right? Like that's, this is what our network does, is the foreign policy shit. Hey. So on principle, I don't give a damn if Bernie came out the gate like with $1 billion dollars in his bank. On principle, I can't ignore my principles just because somebody else looks like they might win. Especially before a single fucking vote has been casted.
Our foreign policy is our domestic policy.
I see Super Chat. Why doesn't Tulsi take Super Chats? Because she'll be violating election finance, campaign finance laws, bro.
You didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that.
Yeah, bro. Y'all trying to get Tulsi set up, bro. Y'all trying to have
Tulsi take this.
Y'all trying to have Elizabeth Warren lie about her campaign finance on the debate stage.
Yeah. Also, don't give it 30%.
Fabi Martin planning another smear of Tulsi, of course. Didn't she say that he was gonna have like some super smear of her, and it was like nothing at some point? No, Robbie.
Robbie?
I don't see Pete lasting to April or March. He will because well, yeah, because of CIA. But also Biden's gonna be out after New Hampshire in South Carolina. He will, and Warren might be out after shit. She might be out after tomorrow or after this weekend.
I think she's gonna do good here.
No, she's not.
She's next door.
She's next door, but you people. So this is the Liberty. What is it? Liberty or die state?
Yeah.
Live free or die.
Live free or die. I'm literally in a state where it is legal to not wear your seatbelt because they were saying, "Fuck that! I'd rather die than you restrict my life." If I want to die in a car crash, that's my prerogative. Okay, bro. Like, that's the type of people they are. And so when you have people like Warren who kind of gaslight and signal that she will be much more restrictive, even when she doesn't really have any game plan. So when they're talking, like, for example, regulations. Like, when Warren talks about regulations, I have no idea what the fuck she's talking about. She just sounds like she just wants a bunch of regulations for the sake of having them. But when Bernie talks about, even Tulsi and Bernie, Tulsi talks about the accountability side of like, we need to make sure we're holding people accountable to disincentivize people from violating the regulations we already have. Does that sound like, that doesn't sound restrictive at all? It's like, yo, can we just enforce what we already have? Well, actually, I think that's a good idea. Let's start there. And then see where we can loosen up.
You got a good super chat there. What's that?
Yeah. Do you think people would be more open to course correcting our foreign policy if we helped make their lives better first with domestic policy? Yes and no. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because half the reason y'all motherfuckers don't give a fuck about foreign policy as it is because your life here is so goddamn good. And you're not worried about nobody else. That's how our foreign policy got so bad. Our country got launched into World War I World War I, as we were on the come up and people were comfortable, people weren't paying attention. They're like, why the fuck we gotta worry about what's going on with the rest of the world if our lives are straight and we don't want to ruin what we got going here? And we know that if we just shut up and keep typing, or shut up and go to our school, and shut up and go to court, I was gonna be an attorney, that's what they don't do. Shut up and go represent a corporate law firm, and shut up and dribble a basketball, and shut up and throw your football, shut up, play. Like, you don't care about foreign policy because you're not the ones having bombs dropped on your house. Only till we reach a somewhat of a semblance of uncomfortability with our lives that they have, that we start to understand that struggle. That is when we started paying attention to foreign policy. That's why we pay attention to foreign policy now as a country more than we had ever paid attention to it before. Michael Blum, thanks for the super chat. Where in New Hampshire are you staying? I'm staying in Nashua, and I want to meet you guys. Where are we staying? Somewhere near
north of Manchester.
A little bit north of Manchester.
Where's
Nashua?
Nashua?
We passed it. It's on the border.
We'll be announcing what events we're going to. So
you can always take me for pizza if you want to meet with me, man.
Niko, let Pasta sleep for God's sake. Pasta ain't about to sleep. We about to go get it popping.
I'm about to go get some pizza. I saw Zoe's Pizza we passed. It just looked
free
good.
Bird. Thanks for the super chat.
While they're doing their burning.
Do you see MSM where Bernie's campaign says Trump's wrong, the DNC ain't rigging it? Yeah, I didn't see the mainstream media talking about it, but I was pissed when I did see that shit. I was a little bit pissed. Look. But I will give Bernie a pass a little bit, right? Because Nina has been very unapologetic about the shit, and clearly his campaign is like, they're definitely not rigging it, and we're totally not expecting it, but we're gonna take every single precaution to expose them if they do. So I'll give him a pass because.
Thanks to Nina a lot.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what Nina said straight the fuck up that they're not getting away with in 2020 what they got away with in 2016. And so when Nina says something, and I will prove once again, if Nina says it, it's the gospel. She mean that shit. So, and you see that everybody else for the most part had a rule against going after other candidates. There was remember that non-aggression pact?
Oh my God.
Who the only one that didn't give on a campaign trail? If you have ever watched one of Nina's speeches on the campaign trail,
was that the one that Shank was asking everybody to sign, or?
No. Like Nina and Bernie supposedly legitimately had a non-aggression. That's what mainstream media was saying. But the only one who didn't give a fuck about the non-aggression pact was Nina. If you ever been on the road and seen her rallies, especially the ones where Bernie wasn't there, and she was like, "Oh, not everybody want to be progressive, huh?" Shit, but in 2016 we couldn't find you. We was looking for you.
No, that's not.
Everybody, if you get a chance, go over to the Rockfin, ROKFIN, sign up. Niko House, the Cabo Couch, here live in New Hampshire, covering the primaries.
Go straight.
I'll be going straight.
Michael is relearning his left and his rights today. Sparky, thanks for the super chat. Trump supporters should cross over and vote Tulsi in the primary to make Trump think twice about listening to Mike Pompeo.
They can do that in some instances.
Actually, some instances. So in New Hampshire, this is one of the places where they can do it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, very likely that they will. I'm telling you, at Politicon, I met so many Trump. Cause I had I think I didn't have on my Tulsi shirt, but I think somebody with me had on a Tulsi shirt at some point, or maybe I did have on. No, I had a Tulsi button on, and people were like, bro, like Trump supporters, MAGA hats, they just do that shit. I bullshit you not. They do it to troll Democrats.
Yeah.
It's more like they're like, yeah, Trump, we like some of the stuff